back for Harfield. What a volley! Scott Harfield! He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
Wade Elliott has that change of pace and he's got away from Montgomery. It's the path of McCann and the follow-up finds the net. What a strike from Wade Elliott! A bolt from the claret and blue.
Oh goodness me! What a goal from Patterson! If that is to be the one that takes them to Wembley, you cannot argue with that. Pure quality.
Here goes Mike Conroy. Still time for a winner, maybe. John Francis! They came to York in their thousands. They're going home as champions.
I mean, if there's any justice in the world, Burnley would surely score from this corner. Swung right in there. Ball in there. Yeah! Michael Keane! Oh, that's justice! That is justice at the Amex Stadium. Burnley are level and deserve to be.
Hello everyone and welcome along to the latest episode of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of this weekend's game against Queen's Park Rangers, a game that can of course see us lift the championship title if we are victorious. And I say if, QPR, yes, they might be in bad form. I do have a QPR fan waiting, so we'll get more on that in a second. But there's 2 draws from the last 5 games. So we've drawn our last 2 games with an experimental side. I say experimental, like a mixture of first teamers and second stringers. Just get the job done now, lads. Vinny, if you're listening, I know you're an avid listener. He's not. But just get the job done. Get the job done. Get the full strength team out and get it done. It should have been done already. We've had 3 games. Well, this will be the 3rd game to get it done. And it's just completely different. Obviously, we had the one chance to get promotion and we got it straight away. Whereas now, I don't know, I just feel not limping over that because we're 10 points clear, so that'd be a silly thing to say, or 11, whatever it is. But we've just had a couple of chances that we've blown. And I think, especially the game against Rotherham, we only had ourselves to blame, really. Got ourselves in front. I'll just quickly go on that because I didn't get a chance to do a full-time show. I thought I was quite disappointed, to be honest, especially with the second half. We were the better side. We were just giving away sloppy goals. And again, I think that's because the first teamers weren't in there, and there was some situations that I felt with other players that had been in there. I'm not going to name any names, so I don't want to blame anybody. But if other players had been in there, that them goals wouldn't have been conceded. But we played very well, I thought, on the front foot, attacking wise. Obviously, Benny scored a brilliant goal. Twine scored a brilliant goal. And on Twine as well, he's been one of the second stringers that has looked good in this chance that he's had in the first team. So I've been quite impressed with Twine. Obviously got a really good goal against Rotherham. Thought he played very well against Reading, which I went down to, which was one of the worst decisions I've made of this season, going all the way down to Reading for a 0-0. I thought Twine's played very well. And another one, I think this one might be slightly controversial because I've seen some people criticising Foster on the social media channels. And yeah, when he first came in, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, even though he probably wasn't playing that well. As I said before, new team, new system, new country, new language, all that stuff. Give him the benefit of the doubt. The last 2 games, I thought he's played well. Honestly, I thought he's played well. But people are still using him as a scapegoat. Where are the goals going to come from? He's not scoring goals. That's what people are saying. We are literally the second highest goal scorers in the country. I think he's been brought in a similar role to Barnes there, just with the less shithousing. Link up, bring the ball down. And get people in behind that way. And I thought the last few games he's played very, very well. He does need goals, I'll admit that. I think it would be nice to see him get a couple more goals because that'll keep the wolf at the door for a bit. with some of the fans. But I have no issues with Foster. I think he's played very, very well. I do see people use the argument of, but do you think he'll play well in the Premier League next season? And again, maybe a little bit unsure on that, but we'll find out next season. It's the same with all of these lads. Zarori, he's been poor for a while. Is he going to be good in the Premier League next season? Tello, Southampton fans always said that he wasn't good enough in the Prem. We're going to have to find out next season. if he's still ours, of course. And Martson as well. He's not been defending that well recently. Is he going to get torn open every single week in the Prem? There's questions on all of them, not just Foster. But having said that, we've had that debate before, and I do think we'll be all right next season. But anyway, next season's a chat for next season. This weekend is, of course, QPR. I do have a QPR fan waiting in the wings, and it is Ben from the W12 podcast. How you doing, mate?
Hello, welcome. How are you? Okay?
Yeah, good, thank you. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk about QPR and where it's all started going wrong. 1 win since December, 2 wins since the World Cup break. I think just before the World Cup break, you went top. I think we played you the first game back after the World Cup break, didn't we? And I think if you'd have beaten us then, you'd have gone above us. And I was quite worried at that point, that thinking, oh, it's a tough game. You've done really well this season. Obviously, we won that game quite comfortably. And since then, you've just been, for want of a better phrase, absolutely terrible. What's gone wrong? Is it Beale leaving that's just completely thrown everything up in the air?
That was the start of the issues, and the way he left, the manner that he left, hasn't helped. Because he said he was staying, and he's not going to jump ship, and then 2 weeks later he jumped ship and left to Rangers. So that hasn't helped. I think one of the biggest issues is in the summer the board gave him a bit free rein on signings, and he made sort of 7 or 8 key signings that were sort of his players, that he really that suited his style of play, which was the 4-3-3, which is what he plays. And when he left, all of those players, literally none of them have played, which sounds so weird and strange, but it really has been like that. Tyler Roberts, who we got him from Leeds, has been injured 95% of games. Leon Balogun, 96% of games. Ethan Laird hasn't been seen. No one knows where he is. The list goes on, mate. We brought in Tyler Richards from Blackburn, who's a good player, but we've barely played, and that adds to another issue that we've got, which is we've literally had an unreal amount of injuries. Like, I think at one point we had 13 players. So the team that got us top, that against Wigan when we went top, we haven't had that same team out since then. And I think it was about 3 weeks ago, all 11 players were out injured that were in that team. So that tells you the challenge that we've had. But Critchley came in and just disaster. We've brought Gareth Ainsworth in. I think the board have probably thought we need a bit of passion, a bit of motivation, but that's gone down like an absolute lead balloon. The players are not reacting to him, and now we're just in a rut and a mess that we can't seem to get out of. We can't seem to win a football match. We can't. We should have won yesterday, but we just couldn't see it through. The only way we'll stay up this season is if Reading don't get any more points or get 1 or 2 points. I think that will be the only way we'll stay up.
Yeah, you mentioned Critchley there. We'll go through the managers. Obviously, Beale left and probably left a sour taste. I think in a similar way to what Coyle did to us back in 2010. I could see it feeling a lot like that. But why did Critchley not work? Because he did quite well at Blackpool, didn't he, a few years ago? Obviously left then to go to Villa as assistant, I think, and then obviously got his another break with you guys. I thought he was a good manager. I thought that was a good appointment. Why did that not work?
Yeah, so it's tough because, like I said, we've had injuries which haven't helped him. We were on a bit of a slump before he came in, and before Beale left. He left and we had lost three in a row, and then Beale left. So he sort of took that over. Like I said, the Beale players decided they didn't want to play anymore, or they weren't around. We were real key players, and he just. Like I said, he lacked any kind of drive or motivation that us as fans saw. Very laboured on this touchline. His post and pre-match interviews were really poor, like really poor quality. And again, he just got on this run and he just could not get out of it. We conceded so many late goals, which we're now looking back. There was about 3 or 4 games in a row that we conceded 90-minute goals. Which if we had even a few of those points, we would be in a much better position. And then the fans turned on him, and once they do that, as you know, like there's not a lot of going back. We should have got rid of him earlier, if I'm honest, but we stuck it out and we lost a few more games. But yeah, so not great. I think it felt like it was an easy appointment because he was Bill's friend. They were mates, and they grew up as a coaching duo, if you like. So I think that maybe the board at the time thought that him coming in would be an easy transition, but it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately.
Obviously, now you've got Gareth Ainsworth as well. How are you finding that one? Is because that, again, from the outside looking in, looks like it's not really going well. Maybe obviously the issue, as you mentioned, isn't the managers really. It's obviously other things as well, such as injuries.
Yeah, and you're right. And there's stuff in the board, and we've got Les Ferdinand, who's the director of football, who's made some really poor decisions. I mean, not bringing in strikers, it's just crazy, really. We've had to bring in Chris Martin on a free transfer in the last day of the January to sort of cover the gap that we've got there. And Gareth Ainsworth's a big fan favourite as a player because he played over nearly 300 games and he was a great football player. And so, but it's still mad to think he's had 10 games and he's only won one game. And we've been really poor in 8 of them, I think. Really poor. So like I said, I think he thought that bringing in a bit of motivation and drive and, he's real energetic on the sidelines, but I just think these players just haven't responded to it, and they needed a bit of structure, a bit like what Warnock's gone in and done at Huddersfield. That's kind of what we needed, but we're now in a position where the rut is not stopping, and we just cannot get a win, and he can't do anything. And I don't know whether he's a bit above. It feels sometimes like he's out of his depth a little bit. That's harsh to say, and it's not really his fault to a degree. But we need someone to come in and structure us and keep us so we don't, so we're not conceding or looking like we're going to concede on every attack or set piece, which is what's happening at the moment. So it's not going great.
Yeah,
he's dying to get to the summer. He's literally dying to keep us up and get us to the summer because he keeps saying he knows how to fix us and what we need, but he just can't get these wins that we need.
No, and you mentioned then as well, obviously, you're in a relegation battle, of course. You're currently on 44 points, Reading on 43, Huddersfield on 44. Then you've got Cardiff, who won last night, obviously, which wouldn't have been great news for you guys, on 45. And I think the likes of Rotherham can be dragged into it because obviously they're only 3 points off. But I'll be surprised if they do get dragged into it with the amount of teams underneath them. Obviously, you must have been buzzing last night when Luton scored late on against Reading. But what are you looking at now in terms of the season? Do you think you're going to stop up, or do you think you're going to go down?
No, I think we're going down, mate. No, I really do. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I think we'll lose obviously on Saturday. I mean, you guys are going to win the league. I don't know if our only hope is maybe that you'll want to win it at Blackburn because you've got Blackburn the week after. That
would be nice. It would be nice.
But and I know that you drew to Rotherham and you've had a couple of draws recently, but I mean, it would be a miracle if we took if it was anything less than a 2-3, 4-0. I really do. And like I said, the only way I think we'll stay up is if Reading don't pick up any more points, or maybe pick up 1 or 2. Which may happen, but I think they got Wigan and Huddersfield.
I'm just looking at their last fixtures now. So Coventry next. So I think they lose that. Then they've got Wigan at home. I think they win that. And Huddersfield against Reading. I mean, it depends if Huddersfield are safe or not by then.
Yeah. I mean, we've got Stoke away next week, which could,
they're on the beach.
Any other time would probably be quite a difficult game, but they're on the beach. Maybe it could be a game we'd win. And Bristol City on the last day, it could be a game we'd win, but I just got no faith, mate. I really don't at the moment that we're going to pick up anything.
Fair enough. Say that it's your last 2 games. Your last few games. Obviously, you drew last night at Norwich. At home to Norwich. Lost at home to Coventry after that. But picked up a decent point at West Brom. So is there signs of improvement there? Because you've got 2 points against 2 top 6, 7 teams.
Yeah. I mean, we're a little bit more solid, but we've got Chris Martin and Lyndon Dykes up front, and they're just real brutes, and it's up and under stuff, and it's and if we can, I mean, I don't know if you saw our goal at West Brom. It was probably one of the flukiest goals ever. The keeper's hit it off Chris Martin, and it's just gone flooped into the goal, and then we've just hung on to a 2-2. Yesterday was much better. We we should have seen it out, but Norwich they got a goal straight from kickoff in the second half, and then again we just couldn't break them down. They sat back and tried to counter us, and we just and so we'll need a bit of luck, I think, mate, if we're going to get anything. But yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of players that aren't playing. That Ainsworth just decided not to play, which is Chris Willock. I don't even know about Chris Willock. He's a really good football player, but just not playing him for whatever reason. Ethan Laird is fit, but we played a 19-year-old at right back yesterday instead of him, who's on loan from Manchester United. I mean, quality-wise, he should be playing. And there's a few other players floating around that aren't playing that would add something. So,
that's interesting. Then, do you think there's been a fallout, or is there any rumours of a fallout?
Rumours, yeah. Stephanie Hansen, captain, wasn't in the squad yesterday. Don't know why. He hasn't been playing either. So I don't know whether Ainsworth looked at it and just picking players that he can trust, which is fair enough. But there's some real quality not playing at the moment. So I think that there's some issues that lie in there. Players out of contract as well. So I just think he's dying. When you hear him, he's literally dying to get to the summer, as Critchley was. But they just can't seem to get these wins to get us over the line.
Yeah, it's like I said, I was just looking at your results and looking at Reading's results, and I just don't see where. Yes, you can beat Stoke at Stoke, and you are capable of beating Bristol City at home. But at the same time, like we said, Reading have got Wigan at home, so I think that's 3 points. I think if Reading get 4 points out of them 3 games, I think you're gone. And I'll be honest, we played Reading last week, and I said to the Reading fan last week, I think they'll stay up at your expense, just the run that you're on. But I didn't expect you to get a point last night. So that helps. But obviously, Reading getting a point as well kind of nullifies it, really. But fingers crossed for you, mate.
As well.
Yeah, true. Fingers crossed for you, mate. Obviously,
we'll need it.
Yeah, I spent the last 2 years looking over my shoulder, seeing what it is, so I know exactly how you feel. But you think it's a bit of a silly question, this, because obviously we could win the league on Saturday. But do you think it's a good time to play Burnley with the fact that we've already been promoted? We're playing a mixture of first teamers and second stringers. It looks like Vinny's experimenting for next year, seeing who's good enough for the Prem and who isn't. And of course, 2 draws against 2 sides that are down there with you. So does that give you a bit of hope?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I mean, it would have been ideal. We were talking about this a few weeks ago. We were hoping that you'd have already won the league and it would already be tied up, and then it would have been an excellent time to play you. But I wonder whether he'll just want to get it done now and get the title shown up. And I wonder.
Well, that's how the fans feel.
Yeah, and I wonder whether we'll see a different Burnley on Saturday. Looking at it, thinking, well, we're playing QPR. Let's just get this sewn up, and then you've got a couple of games to continue your experiment. Which, yeah, so yeah, no, I don't think it is a good time to play you because I think we'll lose. But could we? I don't know really. How are you playing? Are you playing well?
Not very well last few games. Sloppy goals given away against Rotherham, Reading. We just all fart no smell. But other than that, obviously we've been fantastic all season. So I don't want to sound like I'm whinging, but the last 2 games, while we've played this experimental side, we haven't been as good as what we can be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you'll certainly get opportunities with us. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just that sometimes just that miracle happens, doesn't it? Or that result that you don't expect. And I think that's just what we're trying to hold on to. Or we're just hoping that let's just write off Saturday so that Reading can lose it. They're away at Coventry, which is quite a difficult game. If they can do that, and then we've got Stoke and Bristol City, and anything can happen, I guess. So it's just trying to get through this weekend, I think, for us.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's look at this weekend then. Obviously, you've mentioned that this might be a question that you probably can't answer too much. I always like to find out if there's any injuries, suspensions, players that are going to be missing, but it sounds like players are just missing for the sake of it at the minute as well.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, and Ainsworth doesn't give anything away, and it's really strange. He does this weird thing in his interviews where he doesn't say anything about injuries. He doesn't want to give the opposition like the knowledge, which is ridiculous really when you think about the run we're on. And I'm sure Vincent Kompany's not sat there worrying who is and isn't available for us. So yeah, it's very much wait until the team is announced, and then afterwards it's like he's missing from a knock. So Balogun's now out for the season, so he won't be playing. But other than that, we could see anybody come back in team. I think we'll play Dykes and Martin up front with Chair behind.
Yeah.
Seems to be what he's stuck with the last few weeks.
Well, Dykes and Martin up front doesn't sound like the worst strike partnership in the Championship. Obviously, we were linked with Dykes last year and again in the summer, but I think the summer links were just lazy journalism. But last year, when we was under Sean Dyche, I could see why we'd like him. So is that something that gives you confidence having them two up front, or obviously you've seen
I mean, if we can get the ball into him and in the box and just pump, that's what we're doing. We're pumping the ball up and in the box. But they're not really getting any. I mean, Dyke scored a good goal yesterday. Look, but that's what I guess if we're going to play that way, that's just what we've got to continue doing. It's just filling the box with balls and trying to get them on it. Or if they don't get on it, they generally sort of do something so that the defender doesn't get like a clean header away and it flop. You know, then you get your second balls, which I think is what Gareth Ainsworth's trying to instill. But yeah, it's. Yeah, but they're very immobile, so it makes it difficult if we're especially away from home and we're trying to get forward and get out, lumping it forward and then it coming back. It tends to be what happens. So yeah, I mean, what are your centre backs like? Are they quite physical? Can they deal with two big men? Sort
of. I'd say so now, depending on the two that he plays. I think Al Dakil you might get some joy against him from what I've seen in the last two games. But if it's THB and Bayer, then I think we'll be all right. It's one of them. People look at the Sheffield United game where we lost 5-2, and that's exactly what they did. We were the better side in the first half, winning 2-1. They changed it round in the second half and said, pump the ball into the box, and we just crumbled. We haven't lost a game since then because we looked at what happened in that game and said, right, we need to get better at this. And now they're actually quite good at that. And Muric as well, the goalkeeper, if he is the goalkeeper, he will come out and claim a lot of the crosses. That's how Rotherham got a goal on Saturday, though, against the substitute goalkeeper, Bailey Peacock.
Yeah, that'll be how we play, mate. That'll be how we play. We'll be lumping balls up in the box, in and around, trying to keep it tight. I'd imagine that's how you're going to see us play. We've got a really good player in the centre midfield. He's back on yesterday. Who's Tim Irabunam. We've got a loan from Aston Villa. He's a really good football player, really good. If he's on form, he'll cause some problems. But it's just he's really young, and some days you just don't see him at all, and some days he can be the best player on the pitch. You know, so I suspect he'll play on Saturdays. He could be one to watch out for.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, well, so what sort of game are you expecting then? Obviously, you've let on how you expect QPR will play, but I kind of just think if you are lumping the ball up to your two strikers, and then we're then winning the headers, that's just going to play into our hands, especially if you're sitting back. Do you think that's what you're going to do? Just sit back and kick the ball up and hope to get some scraps?
I don't think we'll sit back. No, because defensively, I just don't think we can do that structurally as well. I'm not too sure that's something that we don't tend to do that. We will try and play, but we'll just tend to pick up the second balls. So we'll knock it up, pick the second balls up, and then play and get it wide. That will tend to be how we've played the last few away games. We've got to try not to concede early. 5 of our last 8 games we've conceded in the first 10 minutes, which is mad. It was 5 and 7 up until yesterday. So we'll be trying not to concede an early goal as best we can, because we were in this real horrible rut where we're just conceding really early on and just making it so difficult for ourselves. And I think if we do that against you guys, there'll be no coming back really. So we'll be looking, I think, to try and keep it tight and try and get you in the set piece.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the good news for you guys is that Nathan Teller is injured, and he's a player that really does help, obviously, with his pace, getting in behind.
Is he injured?
Yeah. Zorore has been off form recently. He's another one that normally can have a fullback on toast, especially if you look back to the Preston home game where he had Alan Brown every single time. But he's been out of form recently. Manuel Benson, he has been injured for a while, but he's been back for the last 6-7 games. Scored a really good goal against Rotherham, but I don't know. There's just something about him at the minute where he's not beating his fullback, and so I think we might struggle to get him behind, just like we did against Reading. But hopefully, like I said, we don't play this experimental side and we go full strength and we just get the job done.
Is he the Foster? Is he quick? Is he a quick striker? I'd like us. I'm hoping you'll play Ashley Barnes because he'll suit our centre backs. Someone a bit more physical, someone who we can deal with, a bit of pace up there, and we tend to struggle.
Yeah, I won't have him down as fast, Foster.
No.
He only joined in January. Again, we've not seen too much of him. He is still adapting, I think, but he has been better in the last couple of games. But he's not a goal-scoring striker at the minute. We too tend to be getting the goals from the midfield. I would actually think I would play Barnes, but obviously again you know more about that than me. Maybe that's a silly thing for me to say if we're just playing into your centre back's hands there.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were linked to Ashley Barnes. A lot of our outlets, media outlets, said that we tried to buy him and try to get him away from you, but you wouldn't let him go on a free transfer, which is all we could afford. So we went to go to Chris Martin in the end. So
is that in January then? Yeah.
Yeah, in January. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that or anything, but yeah, I like Ashley Barnes. I think he's effective, but I just think if there's anyone with a bit of pace in your side, then that's where our problems tend to come.
Yeah, it's mad because Nathan Teller, people underestimate him. I don't think people realise how good he is. Like how much we rely on his pace. How much we rely on his pace because the last few games since he's been injured, we've just not got him behind teams. And the Reading game, he proper knocked the stuffing out of us when he went off injured because there was no one getting him behind. And I'm a bit worried for Tuesday without Nathan Teller, if I'm honest with you. Although we are 10 times better than them lot, but we just rely on him quite a lot.
Wouldn't it be nice to win there though? Wouldn't it? It'd be nice to win away at Blackburn, wouldn't it? Can we not deliver that message to the boys at your end? Just go.
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, they know how much it means to us. And this is what I mean now. Like, okay, we played an experimental side in the last 2 games. Get the first team out now against QPR, so that they're not coming back for the first time against them lot. I want to go to Ewood and I want to dick them. You know, it's been a while there since we've won. I say a while since we've won there, because it's been a while since we've been there. But you know, I want to get that feeling again. Obviously, we won last time we actually played there, but yeah, we absolutely murdered them in this season, and I think we are capable of doing it again.
You've got Gareth Ainsworth. He's a Blackburn boy, isn't he? He's already made that point in his conference that he wants to go there and ruin the party, which probably hasn't helped.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think obviously we're in that big WhatsApp group, that championship group, and I remember some people saying, "Oh, Ainsworth are going to QPR," and everyone was slagging him off, going, "Oh, he did this to a certain player, injured him." And I'm like, "Yeah, don't forget everyone who was born in Blackburn as well."
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So he's going to think. Well, he's going to try and be up for it anyway. I'd imagine he'll try and. Well, I don't know if your crowd will give him some stick.
I'm not sure many people will be that arse, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah. Sure.
Predictions then. I can pretty much guess which way your prediction's going to go with the tone of the last 27 minutes. But I'll just give. I think we win. I think we get the job done. I'm going 2-0 Burnley.
Yeah. I mean, 2 or 3-0 would be my guess, mate. If we can try and keep it tight and we get into the last sort of 20 minutes, then maybe we can try and get something. But it'd be unlikely. But you never know, mate.
You never know. Like I said, on text, Reading fans were saying this, Rotherham fans were saying this, Blackpool fans. We haven't beaten Blackpool all season. One of the worst teams in the league. Sunderland fan as well. But we've had a few lackluster performances in the last 12 sort of like games. But it's weird saying that because we still haven't lost. So it's because we set such high standards between the World Cup break and I think we won 10 in a row, and I can't remember what game it was where we didn't win. Watford. We now we're looking at this run where even though we still haven't lost, but because we've drawn about 4, 5, or 6, we're like, oh, it's not as good. But you know, he's still absolutely fantastic.
I mean, mate, we've won 2 in 28 games, which is an incredible run, and it like defies the laws of averages, mate. In football, it literally does. But that tells you the rut that we're on, and you'll see that, I suspect, of why that is on Saturday, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, good luck, mate. Obviously, I hope you stay up for your sake. I do worry for you though. I think it could be you. But I have only that's the first time I've ever looked at your fixtures, remaining fixtures. If I'm honest with you, there are a couple of winnable games there, but I think, like I said earlier, if Reading get 4 points out of their 3 games, I think you could be in big trouble.
Yeah.
But good luck, mate. And whatever happens, good luck for next season as well.
Yeah, you too, mate. Yeah, good luck. And I said Vincent Kompany, I've been impressed with him. He looks like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, really happy with him so far. It says the right things, does the right things, and obviously top of the league, flying. So there's not really much you can complain about, really. Absolutely fantastic. Be interested to see how he gets on next year because he ain't going to Tottenham. Let's be honest. He's staying at Burnley. But just before we do go, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you and your podcast if they want to digest some of your content?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's W12 Podcast. We're on social media. Just type in W12 Podcast. It will come up.
Yeah.
We get players and we've had Critchley and Ainsworth on recently. So there's some stuff. So we've had Neil Warnock on and Harry Redknapp and stuff like that recently. So it's all on there. So
that's
cool.
So yeah,
give it a listen.
Happy days. Definitely go and give it a listen. Well, thank you very much, mate. It's been a pleasure. It's been a good chat. Good luck for the rest of the season. Because it's obviously a big few games coming up for you boys. But thanks for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure.
No worries.